Well, welcome to Job chapter 40, verses 1 to 5. We're just going to catch the tail end of God's speech and then Job's first response to God's first speech. These are often ready videos just to help us get into Job, to read it for ourselves. I hope it helps you. As church family, we're in the book of Job on Sundays, but we can't preach every verse. And so this hopefully helps complement that. And however you've ended up at this video, I hope this is helpful to you. 40 verse 1 and 2, the Lord challenges Job. He's echoing and he's following on from the beginning, chapter 38, where he has said, who is this that darkens counsel by words without knowledge? Dress for action like a man. I will question you, and you will make it known to me. So Job has questioned, darkened counsel, questioned God's rule of the world. He has been a fault finder. Shall a fault finder, 40 verse 2, contend with the Almighty? So he's challenging Job in how Job's been finding fault with God's rule of the world. He's saying, look, who are you to argue against me? Answer. Tell me. He's given lots of questions in 38, 39. Were you there? Do you know? And the answer is always no, I don't. No, I wasn't. Did you make? No, I didn't. So in a way, the answer is already kind of inbuilt. But in verse 3 to 5, we hear Job responding to God, ultimately really saying, "Look, I don't make mistakes. I've got the wisdom to rule every part of creation, even the nooks and crannies that are uncomfortable and don't seem to fit the weird animals, the wild animals, the sea, all of it." The darkness, the death, it's all, every detail. I haven't made a mistake in your life, Job. And that's quite an amazing thing for God to say, isn't it, when we consider all that Job has lost and what's gone on. And Job's response isn't to argue anymore. He's done a lot of arguing, hasn't he? But he now admits, verse 4, that he is of small account. He's sobered, isn't he? No, God, you are God and I am me. And so he's sobered in that sense, and he says, "Look, I'm going to stop speaking now. I'll be quiet. I've spoken once. I will not answer twice, but I will proceed no more." So this is the initial response of Job. We're going to see it goes deeper to the end of chapter 42, but this is the start as his response to God's first speech. We could ask the question though: why doesn't the book end here? Why do we get the second thing that God says? Well, partly it's because there's a second charge to answer that Job has brought up, and that is still hanging. Because why is innocent Job suffering? In a sense, the answer so far is, "Trust me, I rule all things well, the good, the bad, and the ugly," and that is a beginning of an answer, isn't it? But evil is so awful. What's happened to Job is so terrible. Go back and read chapter 1 and just the devastating blows that come to Job, decimating him, and then chapter 2, his own health as well. Why? Well, there's more for God to say as he addresses, in a sense, the charge that he is a monster to have a world like this, that he possibly even is evil and unjust in how he rules. Not just he lacks wisdom, but he lacks righteousness, he lacks justice. And the second thing is that Job is sobered, but he's not yet turned to God. He's stopped speaking against God, but he hasn't quite bought into God afresh and more deeply. He's on the way, but he's still got a way to go. And so that's what we're going to see in the second part. God address the charge, and then Job be more deeply affected and brought back into a full expression of friendship with God, repentance from where he has sinned. Remember Elihu was saying, Job, look, you're not suffering because you've sinned, but in your suffering you have sinned. And it's that part that Job is repenting for, not for hidden sins that the three comforters were always saying, oh look, if bad stuff's happening, it must be because you've got some hidden sins. No, it's not those things, but it is the sins of how he's raged against God through his sufferings. So we see that in the next videos.